coverage of the World Championship here in Taipei from the international wildcard team Dark Passage. I'm happy to be joined by Naru, their mid laner. First up, Naru, I'd like to ask you what it's been like to travel halfway across the world here to Taipei and meet and interact with all those amazing players.
Dünyanın öbür tarafından Taipei'ye yolculuk yapmak nasıldı ve bütün bu hayran olduğun ya da izlediğin oyuncularla beraber oynamak nasıldı?
Yolculuk tabii ki çok zevkliydi. Hayran olduğum ve birçok ünlü oyuncuyla beraber oynamak, aynı yerde bulunmak çok eğlenceli. Gerçekten çok zevkli zamanlar geçiriyoruz. Öyle.
Travel was very good and I'm very happy to be here because I meet all the players and teams that I love to watch, and that's why I really enjoy my time in here.
Yeah, and you get to play versus players that you've maybe seen on the screens all over the world. So even though you guys haven't won a game yet, I do add, what is the main thing you've picked up from playing versus them?
Şu ana kadar henüz herhangi bir galibiyet almamış olsanız dahi onlara karşı oynamaktan ne kazandınız?
Bilmediğimiz ne kadar çok şeyin olduğunu öğrendik. Bunları da ileriki maçlarda uygulamayı planlıyoruz.
We learned that we don't know. We learned many things that we don't know, and in future matches we will try to add this in our repertoire.
Yeah, you of course have matches to go here, and then you go back to Turkey, which you dominated the scene over there last year. How does the experience here set you up to maybe do that again?
Evet, geçtiğimiz yıl her şeyi domine ettiniz. Şimdi buradaki bu tecrübeniz size nasıl yansıyacak ve gelecek yılda aynısını yapabileceğinizi düşünüyor musun?
Geçtiğimiz yıllarda domine etme sebebimiz iyi olmamızdı. Burada daha çok şey öğrenip daha iyi olduk ve domine etmeye devam etmeyi planlıyoruz.
In last years, we dominated the Turkish scene because we were really good compared to other teams in Turkey. And this year, we came to Worlds. We learned too many things, and this will help us to dominate more in Turkey.
All right. Well, I hope you dominate a couple of games coming up here. It's a pleasure to have you guys here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, to get us ready for our last match, let's check in with the guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Shucks. I think we're going to call it the think tank from now on.
Anyways, like
China's Edward Gaming and AHQ Esports Club from the GPL are loading into our final game of the day. I want to talk about these two mid laners because I think both of these teams do somewhat rely on their mid lane champions. It is, of course, going to be Westor on the side of AHQ. It's going to be you, the opposite side. Probably you are most knowledgeable on the mid lane. What do you think about these two players?
I think you is probably the best Orianna that we've seen so far, which is pretty significant considering everyone's played Orianna at some point. But so far there are very support-oriented mid lanes coming from their side with you. And AHQ, I think, has an advantage here. They have a much more flexible mid laner who has a lot of pocket picks, and that's going to draw a lot of bans or just a lot of threats because they get purple side this game as AHQ. So all mid lanes that are, quote-unquote safe are no longer safe with the counter pick.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think, really important that Westor does well individually. I think he is a phenomenally skilled player in his own right, and I think we're going to see a lot of action come out of him. And I really think that the mid lane is sort of a microcosm of the game as a whole, in that AHQ, I think, needs to step up early, play something aggressive, get the early game going well. It's been shown as a weakness of Edward Gaming and a fairly decent strength of AHQ. And a guy I also want to highlight about this is Green Tea, the support, because the best player and the most important player by far in Edward Gaming is Name. And Name lost lane due to Mata doing so well on Samsung White. And just like Mata did, I need to see Green Tea do just as well and crush that bottom lane. And that's the hope for AHQ if they want to make it out of this group.
He's going to need a hyperbolic time changer for that one. I don't think 2 days is enough to fix that problem.
People in Korea have been trying to be Mata for a long time.
Sure, I've been trying to be Mata for my entire life. It's not working, boys.
All right, let's talk a little bit. AHQ, they tried something drastic yesterday against Samsung White. They went for that all-in. It got read by Samsung White. It didn't work out. Crepo, do you expect something similar here, or are they going to try to channel their inner Mata or their inner game-changing ability?
I mean, I think if you're facing off against a better team, as said before numerous times on the desk, the best plan is to get an aggressive level 1 team. However, that doesn't mean you have to cheese your level 1 play, because if you get telegraphed there and you'll just lose the game by getting aced, that's a little bit too much. But I expect aggressive lanes, aggressive junglers. I don't think they'll swap. They'll just try and somehow make a play and snowball the lead off that. Probably pointed out maybe just get an early dragon somewhere, maybe, but yeah.
Well, let's see who you guys think is actually going to be predicting to win this matchup. Gaze into those crystal balls and give me some names. Crepa, I want you to start us off. Who's going to pick up the win and why?
Not AHQ, sadly enough.
Why?
Why?
Wow. Sadly enough, was the reason was because of a Mumu.
Why? Because they're just simply not up to par. I think the only difference could be Westor outplaying you in mid lane, but other than that, they're just outmatched everywhere else.
Probably AHQ or EDG.
I do have faith in the mid lane carry, and I think Westor is going to carry AHQ this game and dominate you.
All right, next on my line is Freak.
I'm going to go ahead and say Edward Gaming. Edward Gaming are just stronger overall. There's a chance for AHQ, but I'm playing the odds here, and I'm going to say EDG.
And finally, Monte Cristo is a clean sweep.
Yeah. I'm saying EDG as well. I mean, it's really, they are the favorites coming in here. It's hard to go against it. And, hey, man, I got to keep up my perfect predictions so far.
Oh, man, yes.
EDG took out Dark Passage earlier today. We'll see if they can do it again to HQ over at LLEsports.com. You guys, the fans, are calling this game also for Edward Gaming with 76% of the vote. All right, with that, let's send it over to the caster desk where Edward Gaming and AHQ are heading into the lobby with the casters.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and let's check out the starting lineups as we get right into it. Spawning on the blue side, it's Edward Gaming from China's LPL. That means in the top lane, it's Koro. Jungling is Clear Love. It's you in the mid lane, Name at AD carry, and supporting him as usual, FZZF.
And on the red side, of course, is the GPL's AHQ Esports Club. Pride's in the top lane, Nas in the jungle, star player Westor in the mid lane, Garnet Devil on AD carry, and of course Green Tea on support.
Definitely support plays to be coming out in this one. We saw Green Tea already. We know FZZF can make some plays, so that's going to be a sweet lane to be watching. We actually heard the analyst desk talking a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we might see AHQ have the same approach to the game as we saw yesterday. Just try and pick some champions where you can snowball. Again, the Blitzcrank was pretty good from Green Tea. He had some good hooks.
He had the kill, the one kill on Blitzcrank. The level 1 from the Blitzcrank was a little bit disastrous.
Sure, true, but that's also like a team effort. I mean, it's not only the Blitzcrank saying, follow me, guys, not solo queue right here. But you do have to invade on Blitzcrank and solo queue every single game.
True.
Well, let's see what they have for each other here in picks and bans. AHQ could make a very big move here, but the odds stacked against them. It's going to be the first one out.
The question is Edward Gaming just going to ban Westor completely, Fizz, Zed, and maybe even Twisted Fate? And
oh, no.
No,
Whoa.
they're not. They're not. Switching up here. Still, Zed is Westor's, one of Westor's many fantastic champions, and one of the champions he can snowball on.
And one interesting thing why they ended up banning Lee Sin is Clear Love is not a major Lee Sin player during the regular season. It was not highly played whatsoever. Of course, the TF ban, though, which disappoints all the fans here from Westor.
The cow gets taken out. A lot is left up to go through this game, actually. We get the tree for Koro. Maokai picked in.
So Maokai has been picked by Koro twice already, because EDG has actually been blue side in every single game so far, and he's not been banned away. And Maokai in China is such a fantastic pick. Like, just in most regions, we do see Maokai as one of the top tier picks, but especially in China, because you are so strong in these team fights, because you can engage fights as well, makes you so strong. And I actually feel like it's a bit of a mistake that Koro can get it once again, but I know they have to ban Zillion if they want to play Zed, so...
Giving him the safe lane, EDG, their early game safety. That already goes to the top lane. We'll have to see what AHQ can keep putting together. Clear Love and you to pick.
Based on the rest of the bans, they kind of had to give him Maokai.
That's the problem,
The Rise is potentially
so
more
that's
fearful.
why I didn't ban Zed.
I guess so. It's not a big pick in China, as you've pointed out many times.
It's not, I mean, normally split pushing in China, it doesn't really happen. It's all about these team fights here, and Zed already has the problem. He's not super strong in team fights. He's extremely good in one-on-one and in split pushing, but it can be very hard to play team fights here. And I've never seen him play Zed before.
39 games, regular season playoffs and regionals, 0 Zed picks.
He's a utility laner.
Is this you telling Westor, I can beat you on Zed, even though I haven't played it entire season?
He says, let's fight blades for blades. And actually, the Nidalee also getting locked in on the side of AHQ. First time through.
Not a big surprise that we see the Nidalee against the Maokai because it's unbanned. It's something the Prides plays.
Yes.
As far as the Zed pick, though, Yu is known as a jack of all trades as far as mid laners go. Big champion pool. And since they did burn that one ban on Lee Sin, this Zed pick is kind of like a pick as a ban, I think, more than anything else.
But it will, I mean, it is a different playstyle for Edward Gaming because they are this slow early game, get into late game, we have like full scaling comms, normally hyper carry for Name. You have, again, tanky utility top laner, and then of course we see like this Orianna mid lane for you so often where you scale into late game and you are so strong in these team fights. This is going to be a different playstyle because suddenly you is going to be a split pusher now, and of course Ringar for clear off and Twitch login for Name. This is full pick comp.
You're at Worlds, you're going to have to bring this stuff out. You cannot play the same thing every time. If they know EDG is going to just want to sit in lane for late game and try to win a Baron fight, then you're going to be able to get under their skin. And wow, the Blitzcrank will get locked in again.
He had to do it one more time.
I mean, again, it's a snowball support. Get a few good hooks and suddenly you have a few kills for your team and it's looking great. You have Talon again, give him a few kills. Nidalee can solo carry games by just split pushing. So AHQ doing the same as we saw against Samson White here. A lot of snowball potential, a lot of high damage champions as well.
I mean, it is a David versus Goliath group, although I do feel like this game is sneakily competitive. It's the bigger David and the slightly smaller Goliath facing up against each other, so maybe it could turn in. Yeah, they picked a lot of champions that have the potential to take over a game.
Yes, and again, EDG, different play style of different comp compared to what we normally see. Name on Twitch as well, it's one of his like best champions, but the way he actually plays it normally is he's the guy engaging team fights. Like he's in the front line engaging the fight. Now he's gonna have to one-on-one people and pick people off or be around you and then surprise them.
The last time I saw him play Twitch, it was actually in this Zillion Kale composition where he could jump up right next to someone. He can't do that now.
No, he cannot. And it's time right now to do that Twitter thing. Share your predictions for who's going to take this game. Tweet hashtag EDG win or AHQ win to @LOL Esports. And we'll count up your votes shortly as we get into game. We can see their EDG on your screen, ready and raring to go with this composition they're about to kind of enlighten us with.
We'll see whether or not you can become unstoppable. I mean, his Orianna was very good. Zed is a completely different animal right here.
Oh, we'll see it going into game now. We are onto the Rift. EDG on your screen. Name on Twitch. You see him running out of the fountain. Good pickup as we see another Nidalee coming in today. Not too much play for Nidalee coming into the World Championships, but when he, or she I should say, can be locked in, it is going to be in that top lane. Prides hits it up for this game. And ladies and gentlemen, we are on the Rift.
And this lane matchup here in the mid lane is very, very risky to play for the Talon because early on it can be very hard for Westor actually to get some poke onto you. You can constantly poke him with the Q, and also if they do get an all-in, suddenly you have the Shadow coming in some extra damage for you here, which means Westor will have to actually jump him to out-trade him in damage.
Right.
And suddenly you are at risk of getting ganked.
And Rengar isn't a fantastic ganker pre-6, but is a good counter ganker pre-6, or even rather threatening if Westor has burned all of his spells early on. So it's definitely a very, very risky lane if AHQ can't get control of the jungle.
We do see him start with Flash though, and his ward here, so going to be a lot of sustain for Westor in this mid lane. And he's going to need it in the start because you should be able to get a small CS lead, and then once we get the ultis up here and Westor goes back, get his first item, we might see him do the same as we saw, was it Pawn do in earlier game?
Yeah, Pawn was just using his ultimate on cooldown on the Talon. That was against an Orianna though, to just continually push Naru out of lane again and again. I don't think that's as easy against Zed. If you try to hop in with an ultimate on him, he's going to ult you right back.
Could be a difficult situation. Well, gonna love to see the fight between these two in the mid lane, hopefully with a little bit of jungle pressure as well.
Speaking of that mid lane fight, there's one last thing we're gonna mention here, even though it won't come into play right off the bat. Double assassins, and neither one of them are bringing a knight against each other, so it's very much an offensive lane. And Name's doing his Twitch thing.
Yeah,
here we
we've seen
go.
this before.
They don't have him hooked up with red buff this
Great read
time,
by Westor, honestly.
But yes, beautiful read. You kind of walked forward a little too soon there.
Yeah, but AHQ have done their homework here because when Name plays Twitch and there is a lane swap, AHQ started the lane swap themselves. Then he likes to go into this mid lane here, stealth up, get a few hits on the enemy mid lane, and that could actually be enough to simply win the mid lane for you.
It's like we get another lane swap coming into this game. A great mark there keeps Prides pretty safe here as he has a bit of brush control for himself. FZZF doesn't want to have it or give him too much control over that. And we begin our laning phase. And Green Tea coming down here in a little bit to help out with the Prides.
I still think it was a pretty good start there by AHQ. Because of the homework they did, Name was a little bit late getting to that bottom lane, and they did set up the lane swap. This allows Blitzcrank to potentially roam.
Yeah, and also down this bottom lane, because Name and FCCF wasn't in the bot lane to actually freeze it up early on, it's been pushing now up towards AHQ, so Pride should be able to pick up some farm.
That's
exactly.
really
There's
critical.
no freeze because they went all in on the mid lane.
However, because Blitzcrank has already shown in the bottom lane, Koro will be able to farm against Garnet Devil in that top lane Maokai versus Lucian.
Simply trading, then farm on the top laners. But you need the farm on Nidalee. That's the big deal about Nidalee when you do have these lane swaps. If she gets denied early on, she won't become the split pushing monster one-on-one. The fact she can actually get a lot of farm here is very important for AHQ.
Unfortunate ward that Nas is sitting on top of. However, his presence alone is enough to deny Koro here. Ward or no ward.
You're going to have to play this one slowly. Kind of taunting him out there.
At this point, Nas knows he's sitting on a ward, but he doesn't care because he's using it to deny experience and trying to give Garnet Devil a lead in that lane.
Still a win situation for him, and he's going to be able to hug this one out cleanly. Not knowing where Rengar is right now, though, this could get scary, but he's going to be in base, so Nas has the good to go.
But we have to talk about Klilov and his Rengar game we saw earlier. I wasn't too impressed either. I mean, Klilov for me is a jungler who's extremely strong in team fights and in terms of like counter ganking. But he's a guy who prefers to just sit and farm. In that case, Rengar would benefit him. But the ganks he did try to pull off in the game earlier today where we saw Edward Gaming, they weren't very successful, and I wasn't actually too impressed by his Rengar.
I gotta say, Rengar is probably the most polarizing champion depending on who plays it, right? We've seen Insec on it so far in this World Championship, and it looked absolutely unstoppable.
Yep.
And we've seen some very lackluster Rengars. The champion is like that, though. He's very unforgiving for players who aren't exactly perfect on him or fall behind early.
Let's see if Garnet Devil keeps himself out of a scary position here. Again, Clear Love coming in before 6. They're trying to get something going here for Koro in the top lane, and Clear Love himself.
Best thing about this is he's maxed up his ferocity, so if he lands that first spell, they can lock him down for quite a long time. And he is not showing that he knows where he is. Ooh,
wow.
Whoa!
Okay, that was huge.
Absolute
that was huge.
game sense.
That's all it is. That is just a sixth sense of knowing where he could be. What a read.
Beautiful.
Even if it was as simple as Koro not throwing the saplings, he is now holding the lane. There's too much freeze. Something alerted Garnet Devil. Crazy
Probably
play
just
there.
Koro's play. That's one really underrated thing about solo laners working with their junglers, not having any tells in lane, not overbaiting. At that point, it seemed like Garnet Devil saying, there's no way Koro would be playing this way. If he didn't have backup, may as well check.
Right, because Koro actually, just before Klilov went to the top lane, he was trying to push out the lane one-on-one, but as soon as Klilov showed himself for Koro, he started backing away, was hoping for Garnet Devil to step forward and hit him. He was like, yeah, you know what, why are you suddenly playing so passive? Are you actually baiting me? End up checking the bush.
Doesn't take it as a sense of weakness, and he knows to keep himself safe. It's going to be a pickaxe buy for him on the first back, and we're going to get these lanes swapped out. Looks like Prides is going to have himself a top lane now versus Koro.
It's a pretty good
And
lane
he's
swap
pushed
here.
to the lane already too.
No, but it's been a pretty good lane swap for AHQ in the sense they got farm on Italy. Now they get the one-on-one. I just try and chase for kill here. Force a flash at least.
Absolutely forces the flash underneath the turret, twisted and goes down. One more swipe. Coming out from Koro to stop the first blood.
So close, but Pride's really knowing the damage here. Once you apply your passive with Nidalee, your Q all of a sudden does 33% more damage.
Yep.
And you're just jumping in there, almost killing him.
And those Nidalee spears, though, they're so thin now. The slightest of side steps by Koro right there. Save his skin.
Save his bark, really. Gets out of that one alive. 7 minutes coming up on the clock. We'll see what Prides can do to continue to mark his territory in the top lane. He does have it warded up. He'll be safe to return. Good invade now. No, or rather, not invade, but safety from Nas as you pushing up in mid.
So, as we talked about like 5 minutes ago when we were setting up the lane here, in this mid lane, we talked about how you should be able to have the pressure. He's been doing a good job. 20 CS lead, forced West door back to base here. He did buy the Brutalizer now, so now we have to see if he wants to try and go aggressive onto you, but it's going to be extremely risky.
Talon's not exactly a great pick against Zed matchup-wise. I mean, Crawley will definitely have his own version of how this mid lane matchup goes, but the Talon, in my experience and visualization, hasn't had huge amounts of success early against Zed. Westdoor is paying the price in the early game.
61 to 43. brutalizer to brutalizer as they're going neck to neck in that lane. FCZF starting to get some wards onto the Dragon now as they prep the first objective. Just a 300 gold lead is what separates these two teams, and it'll be quite a fight once we get the teleports coming in.
Look at the first item here from Koro. Just going straight for Ninja Tabi, because on the side of AHQ, it's all physical damage here. I mean, you can just stack armor all day long for EDG, and normally when we see these like full physical comps, they really fall off late game because there's going to be so much armor on the other side of the team, it becomes so hard to actually kill a target.
And that Maokai will be able to stack armor like no other if we can get late game. Plus, he kind of needed the Ninja Tabi to be able to run away from Prides a little bit faster. But they have to get to that late game for it to matter.
Trying to close down on Clear Love, but he realizes people are exiting lane and he needs to exit the jungle as well. Nice arcane smash on the jump in to stop the pounce. Throws a little short on the ball.
And that was very important because once again he had the passive on his head, he would take more damage, completely denies it, passive whiz off, and back to just standard farming. Down his bottom lane, Name has actually been holding his own on this Twitch. Normally Twitch, I mean we did see the lane swap in the start,
right?
But people don't like to 2v2 with Twitch. It's very risky matchups.
Blitzcrank as well, though, can show some weakness in lane, so it's kind of balancing itself out. Unless Green Tea lands just the right hook, he's not having too much presence in that lane.
Very interesting on both sides.
They have a big level advantage.
One missed hook means that pressure is down, though, so they got to make these count. Level 6 is hit. They're both level 5. How got it right now? The silence comes in. Is it the death? Oh, the flash flay to stop the flash in coming in from AHQ. FCZF with the plays.
What a close move right there. Name, again an EDG member in the early game, gets away with a sliver of health. Eventually AHQ is going to have to convert one of these kills or they're going to get countered.
Don't know if we're going to see anything of a teleport here. No, it's no teleports coming in because the fight's actually on the teleport in the top lane. Another great arcane smash, but it was before the pounce. They start to execute, and they will take him down. First blood for Nas, but the box goes down, and they're going to try to put Garnet Devil in it. Actually, he is supposed to be safe from it. Green Tea now trying to get the hook, but he gets hooked by FCZF. The cleanup in the bot lane coming in for EDG, and Clearlove gets 2 for himself.
That is exactly the gank that EDG needed. Now Clearlove gets the 2 kills on Rengar to build whatever he wants. Plus, because of the double kill, they can take the Dragon afterwards. EDG has survived the early game and made it to the team fight phase that they know and love with that play.
We say a lot that EDG likes to wait. They can wait, but they're not afraid to make plays if they have a chance to.
No, definitely not. And Clearlove here, with the gang down in bottom lane, because Name was already taken so low from the fight beforehand, he knew that AHQ was going to stay at the tower and keep the pressure going. Walks in, gets the lane, Westo is dead.
That's gonna hurt.
No. Where's the Q?
There's no pop.
He got him.
Whoa, yep. And he pulls the R, the ultimate shadow back for safety.
Remember that Westor picked his Talon into Zed. It was already locked in by you, and he knew he was going to have a hard time early game. But now also end up giving a kill. Dragon as well for EDG. You have 2 kills on your Rengar. This split pushing machine you will become is going to be extremely scary, especially because Rengar can always join in and suddenly it's 2v1.
Straight up solo cannot happen though in this game, especially with Westor trying to carry HQ out of this one. I have to go back to that bottom lane though, and one of the reasons Clearlove's gank was so effective. Nope. It's because when they went in, those flashes being burned preemptively were just so critical. It was just a perfect setup for a Clearlove gank. And that's why we said AHQ needs to be able to close out those kills or they're going to start getting countered.
Ooh. Could have a big play here on Garnet. They actually pull an FCZF. He's going to take a few turret shots. No flash available because he gets silenced on that one. Garnet Devil a little too far out, and somehow they change it in their favor for EDG once again.
So it was actually a very good thing for FCZF to be hooked here because he didn't have to use the flash. He got behind Garnet Devil all of a sudden. There was no flash on him. He could just flame, land the hook, and get the kill here. So EDG really showing up in this early game, and once again, because they are playing a bit of a different comp, we should expect them to be more aggressive in the early game. And I talked about Clearlove's Rengar before. He's looking pretty good so far.
Hey, he had a little bit rough in the very early game, but because his first ultimate was so well executed, sometimes that's what makes or breaks a Rengar. The first ultimate they use at level 6.
We were talking about the Rengar builds a little bit earlier. He does start to stack up that flare. He's not going to just sit on the Madrids for now. A lot of pressure towards this top lane. Nas throws down the ulti. He's going to get Clear Love. Clear Love's got full stacks. Uses the ferocity. It looks like they're going to be going in. That's the death mark going down, and Nas hits the floor. Prides over the wall with twisted advance. An unfortunate event, and he goes down as well.
From bad to worse is one of the biggest things we see right there. Clear Love looked like he got a little bit caught out, but EDG, as they always seem to do when we watch their games, collapse faster than the other team and turn every skirmish into a team fight.
It is quite crazy, especially when they start getting ahead this far. You look at Nami to be the AD carry for the team. Hasn't have to be an AD carry or carry for the team. Everybody else is doing a great job right now. Clear Love coming up huge. We haven't even seen you start the split push yet if he wanted to. And it looks like EDG returned back to lane on both sides. Westor picking up blue buff here. Pink wards on the side of AHQ. Let's see where they start putting them.
And look at the items here for Garnet Devil. Because he knows there's going to be so much action early on, seeing as EDG already has the bleeding and just keep pressuring it, he actually decided to get a crit cloak, even though you normally want to have a BF sword and a pickaxe. But this time around, he didn't have enough gold for it. He figured, I need some items now. It doesn't really matter what I get as long as I'm building towards the Infinity Edge. I have to get some items. He could have gone for a Brutalizer as well and get a Ghostblade as the first item just to get some power.
I'm a little surprised you didn't actually just go for more long swords. The critical cloak is going to need a lot of luck to try and pay off. Interestingly enough, we were checking a lot of rune pages early on in the game. So many players are running one red crit rune. It's this incredibly widespread thing in jungle and at the AD carry position.
And support. Zero.
And support, yeah. Zero on Janna. Runs 1% crit. And I've been looking for the jungle crits today. I've seen it once. 6 games, and it was on a blue buff.
Oh man, this could be some pain going into Nas. He does have the mark over his head. He goes down from the death mark on you. Fight towards Koro in the top lane now. It's not going to be any pressure from anyone here. These guys are the only teleporters, and they're going face to face. Looks like it's going to be an extended one with the heals.
He needs the lantern.
There he goes. They finally close in. Jat, like you said before, EDG is always the one to close in first.
Poor Prides. He is just one man against the world right here, and EDG is always bringing back up.
Yeah, and EDG is just walking around in the jungle of AHQ. They've already warded up, so they could just move between these lanes. Whenever there's action in any of the lanes, expect multiple members of EDG to show up.
All right, see if Green Tea can make a play coming up here. Looking for the hook. Looks like he's getting as close as he can. Koro on point with his side steps today, and he's just going to take that one to the backside.
Gonna deal with the revenge. Miss hook, don't care, I'm just going to hit you with my ult.
EDG waiting. They know they're not hatching a ward on this one. Nas just on the other side. Whoa, he does get the alert system out. Nas gets hooked. He's going to get chewed up by Clear Love, and it looks like Prides tries to get back to lane. They do get out CCF. That's going to be a kill for Garnet Devil if he can finalize this one.
Take it, Green Tea, take it.
That's... Yep, the Ignite's going to be coming out, actually.
Yes.
Oh, it's Green Tees. Westor's in the fight. Nami gets out of this one alive. He can still be shooting from the outside, but he's way too low. Now goes the kill for Garnet Devil. They're going to be following Green Tea on overdrive. Will he be able to find one more? And it does not look like he will.
Still chasing.
Slow.
He might. He's got flash.
Flash up.
But this could be a tower as well. I mean, a lot of kills all of a sudden for AHQ here. Actually punishing EDG for being a little bit over-aggressive. They were going for the kills. There's a little Z in the bottom lane, however.
It all started, though, with that Green Tea hook over the wall. That was a very surprising move there by AHQ. They didn't really seem to be fighting back, and all at once, they catch EDG by surprise.
If there's anything we learned yesterday for AHQ against Samson White, it's that Green Tea is the guy to set up all the kills on this Blitzcrank.
He's not afraid to as well. He'll miss a few hooks, and he will keep going in on these fights. And the best part about it is AHQ usually has a few members there to fight it. The worst part about it is if they don't, EDG always gets there first.
I mean, speaking of kill setups, they do have you on the run. Let's see this.
So where's the rest of EDG? How fast do they get here? That's one, missed one. This is going to absolutely turn into a complete dragon test.
He should have flashed and just knocked him up and then hooked him while he was in the air.
Power fist.
I mean, he would have gotten the kill. They could go for dragon then after and get some more gold here. So Green Tea should actually have flashed for this one.
Yeah, a little bit too much faith in his own skill shot skill right there. You can really see AHQ needs to make this one work, though, but unless they get a pick with Blitzcrank, it's going to be real tough for them to set this one up. I saw Clear Love at the very start of that last engagement. The level of damage he is putting out right now as a level 10 Rengar with damage items is rather remarkable. HQ has ward control, though.
Monty said it on the desk. If you want to stop a split push as well, Rengar's a good one to do that, so Prides can't really get himself into a situation to put AHQ back in the game. could be difficult. This Dragon still getting hit up, half health. He's going to go back home and heal up. Green Tea could be looking for a hook from the side here, but he does not want the tree.
And look at Westor here on the minimap. He's constantly staying at the mid lane. He wants to flank around EDG, trying to get on Tsunami in the background. Here's the fight!
Locks down Prides, gets hit up very early. No more heals can come from him. They shut down a bit of the utility, but EDG is now looking to keep themselves alive. To the outside goes Clearlove, but he's back into the fight with the rest of the team. Great focus coming around from AHQ, but they just cannot close down the health bars because EDG's got way too much damage.
Where was the patience there by AHQ? They went when they did not have to go. They hooked a low health Koro, which just basically pulled them into the team because you're going to explode on them. And I believe Westor blew his full combo while sitting on an exhaust because he didn't want to wait longer time.
And he couldn't really find a target. Again, he was staying at the mid lane. He wanted to flank. He wants to get onto like Name or you maybe. Just try and burst one of the squishy targets. But he ended up actually walking in when the fight was almost over.
Far and ahead already. Let's see this one more time. Green Tea didn't want that grab, but he was forced to pretty much make one.
Yeah, Prides gets completely caught out while they're pulling the wrong target. This fight started on EDG's timeline. It was a really good box as well, but I mean, to burn 3/4 of his combo while sitting on that exhaust, if he waits that long to make it in anyway, at least wait until the exhaust is gone, and they could have gotten a few kills.
Problem for him though was that his team were kind of already like either disengaged or already died, so he was gonna be the next target. So yeah, you can try and wait like for one more second, but do you really want to take the chance? Because if a hook had landed for FCCF, we would have been saying, why didn't he ult?
EDG now 2 Blade of the Rune Kings finished to a point in the game where they love. Baron would be quite easy for them to do if they get the vision down necessary to get that done. Still looking for some type of carry from AHQ. Will it be the split push? Will it be Green Tea's grabs? Because some have been missing, but when they've been hitting, he's not getting the people he wants.
Yeah, the trouble with this as well is AHQ's running that full physical composition. They either needed Prides to get ahead enough to create a split push threat. That's not going to happen now against that Glacial Shroud Maokai. And the team fights, especially since Clearlove can pick up his armor now, are going to be a little bit difficult.
Lots of cooldown in the builds coming from EDG here. They're looking to just keep these fights going. Turn them even more bloody. Pride staying on the back here. He does not want to get caught out if he's farming this one early. He's ready to just wait for it to come to the turret. So it seems like AHQ is ready to buy themselves some time. Give themselves a window to farm back up here and get to a point where they can contest these objectives.
And EDG at the moment just needs to make sure you has a one-on-one in the bottom lane, and he can win it and then take a tower. So that's why you see 4 members from EDG moving to this top lane here, forcing AHQ as well to be there to defend. And then it's all about Westor against you on his bottom side.
Westor's Talon has been very underwhelming, I would have to say. And at this point, they're so far behind, especially as Talon. He is an all-in champion right now. I don't see how he's going to find an effective use in this match, especially now that FCZF's exhaust is almost back off cooldown again. I mean, he used it so perfectly last fight.
Face of the mountain as well for him, so you have the shield, you even have the lantern shield, and as you just mentioned, the exhaust, and
wow, right in onto Westor. He does not have a chance to breathe on that one. FCZF looking to continue. Pride's on to EDG. And it looks like Yu is going to stay alive on that one. Prides gets himself in out of the fight as Yu back to the team with a dark passage. And they somehow, man, how do they continue these fights? Beautifully done. Left and right, it's just AHQ trying to find a way out of these fights.
4 for 1, you could really see EDG as just taking control of this game now. Every fight they find is a better one. They're the ones picking the fights against the team that needs to get picks. AHQ is just getting completely obliterated.
Everything they focus just disappears in front of their eyes and then reappears as the engage happens from EDG. It's looked perfect so far coming from them. 304 unstoppable now coming out on Zed. He's doing quite well for himself.
Again, he had a good matchup in the mid lane. He managed to win it. Even killed Westor one-on-one actually in the lane. Right. Getting a top tower now, got a bot tower earlier as well. I mean, the split pushing in starting. And as long as the rest of EDG can make sure to have control of the rest of the map. Let's just see it again.
Crazy.
Yeah, flash jump there from Koro, just setting up an easy kill for you. He actually took a fair bit of damage coming in there. And then Green Tea is the one who gets hooked to a retreating Koro who just ends up helping out with the initiation. At that point, EDG is just piling on everyone, collapsing and making a team fight. Although,
that's a pick.
Very nicely done. Something to make
Too little,
here.
too late.
So yeah, and again, it's also too early in the game to actually go for Baron here, even though you did manage to get a kill, and also it was just onto the support. So EDG managed to get a kill, but can't really do anything with it other than place a few wards.
This is going to be tough if AHQ gets pushed back to their base. Oh my gosh, not even in the base right now, and it's going to be EDG that finds a pick for themselves. AHQ cannot let these things happen.
That is a ridiculously fed Rengar. I think is what we saw right there. He basically soloed the solo laner right there in Westdoor from stealth. Look out.
A little bit out of hand on that one. As I was just saying, it's going to be tough for AHQ once they get pushed back to the turrets. The wave clear is not immaculate, or not too great, I should say. And they're going to be pushed in quite hard. The static shiv trying to be built up by Garnet Devil to supplement that just a little bit.
And again, right now, if EDG wants to, they can just split up in all the lanes. Send you in one lane. You have Koro as well. Like, put Koro in the bottom lane so you do have the Baron pressure where he can teleport up and join in. Have you push the top lane, and then you put Nami in the mid lane. He push out the wave, and then him and Clearlove together can just go to either top lane or the bottom lane and just find a pick. I mean, you can dive people. You can find them in the jungle because you have all the wards placed. There are so many possible picks for EDG here.
You got a lot of options when you got a 10,000 gold team.
And it works out, especially when you're so far ahead. If Clearlove doesn't get the engage he wants, he just finds a dark passage from SDZF. They're out, and they try it again.
So I'm just going to think about the group as a whole right now, because everyone expects Samsung, White, and EDG to make it out of this group. AHQ needs to pull off an upset to be able to come back out of this one. They're going to be sitting at 1-2. Based on what happened against Dark Passage, they're probably going to beat them again.
Right.
The thing that AHQ needs to be asking themselves during this game is, where are the windows for us to beat EDG the next time they play? Because that's all they need if they want to be able to come out of this group.
Slow pushes into that bottom lane now. Trying to get this down so EDG can get themselves a nice Baron attack. Oh my gosh, on to Westdoor. Definitely going to have to be a better lane matchup if they want that face-off to go any better, Jat. This is going down way too in favor of EDG. A good pickup there by AHQ, though.
Right, but it's also just because everything has gone horribly wrong for Westdoor in this game. I mean, it's just getting worse and worse. Zed can just snowball out of control here. EDG not able to get a tower. Oh, Green Tea with a flash.
Yeah, as you said, just a horrible game for Westdoor. Everything going against him. He got chased down. They were able to collapse, but they still lost a lot of turret pressure. To get back to their windows of opportunity, though, they still have some individual playmaking, but you can see they might actually be pushing a little bit too hard and going a little bit too far in that sense. I think you need a playmaker. Don't make every single player the guy who would try and solo carry the game, because then you don't actually have any team cohesion, and that's really hurting them in this game, I think.
And it's really been a problem if you look at like picks and bans, how every single team going into the games against AHQ can say at least 2 of our bans will go to Westdoor. And then if you pick the third, like assassin out of Zed, TF, and obviously Fizz, I don't think we should call TF so much of an assassin, but still one of his like main picks where he can actually carry games, it becomes impossible because the rest of the members on AHQ, they don't pull any bans, at the moment at least.
Right.
So there's too much focus on Westdoor, meaning he has to pick something like a Talon and just try and carry the game.
And was he trying to replicate today, right? He's only really played Talon once in the 23 games of their season, so to come out and say, maybe we can just keep that pressure on using my ultimate every minute, did not really work out for him. So they're definitely reaching and grabbing for a few of those things, like you said, that they're looking for.
Oh, here we go, another Rengar. He showed that pink ward. It's done for. I actually do have to point out, though, again, because they played so many games during the regular season, and he just never played the Zed.
That's too
showing the depth of his actual champion pool, because he's played very well on Zed.
Oh, he's been great, to be honest, but it also shows how we had some time between the last few games of the season before Worlds start, where people could start picking up new champions, and Zed, everyone knew he was going to be a big pick coming into Worlds, and when you have a mid laner like you, and just when you're on like these professional teams, you have to be able to play like these top tier picks.
And it's a level of training. I mean, we even saw Darius pick up Rumble heading into the World Championships as well. These teams did have a lot of time to prepare. And here we go, fight from EDG. They get a nice catch.
Nas locked up pretty much. He's forced to jump out of the fight. Everything happening in defense here for AHQ as they start to go down. EDG closing in, and the stranglehold now down. They get Clear Love this time. He will be going down to the turret. They are forced out of their bases. EDG kind of takes their side of the map over.
They're actually trading 1-for-1 here, and a lot of damage onto EDG, so they won't really be able to push anywhere. Once again, a hook from Green Tea onto the tower.
A pretty slick hook, as you said right there. The main reason that one turned around. Clear Love, because he was getting so far ahead, continued to build those damage items, meaning when he did get pulled into the turret, he was able to get bursted down pretty quickly. So a little sigh of relief from AHQ there. That was a great ultimate by Westor. He did a ton of damage to the team. It's the main reason EDG had to back out.
This could be one of those windows. Give them a time to breathe. AHQ could possibly set up their wards. They definitely have to clear the plethora around Baron Pit right now that EDG has. So if AHQ can get themselves into position, you can definitely start to whittle away at this gold lead that EDG has right now, around 11,000. It's going to be tough. We still have a lot of time to go in this game, according to what stands in the base of AHQ.
And as long as they can keep wards in their own jungle around this Baron here, and also keep the Baron warded, of course, they might actually be able to buy some time. But if you do look at their comp and what we talked about earlier with the full physical, you're against a Maokai, again a Rengar, fantastic late game, you're not really going to outscale. And this Nidalee pick has not been able to do anything in a one-on-one because Pride has just been so far behind. So AHQ just have to try and go for these picks, and they need to hope that EDG is going to play like over-aggressive. But they're normally a team who is extremely strong in the late game and won't make any mistakes in the late game.
Right, even if they're looking like they're doing a big dive, which they're willing to do, it's usually much more calculated than the other teams in China for sure. That's definitely their big strength. Even vision control. They definitely bought a ton of wards yesterday in their game against White. This one, however, they're going to be walking through that one ward. Nas got to run
Kill
real
that
fast,
pink ward
though.
again. Yes, 2 ultis, 2 pink wards.
That's efficiency right there. 2 ultis, 3 pink wards, perhaps. They need to get a little bit better vision control. They realized that one gets spotted out. They do have the 4 sweepers, but they need to get some more forward pink wards, actually. FCZF probably needs to move his a little bit further up if they want to get full control and continue to press around this Baron Pit.
You can see they're pretty risk-averse with the objective fights. They want it out of the objective. They want their pick.
Why don't they just go top lane at the moment? I mean, they have wards to spot AHQ. The top lane is pushing in, and this mid lane wasn't pushed. If you go like 20 seconds ago, they could have rushed straight for top lane, picked up a tower instead. Starting the Baron now.
They're forcing AHQ into a team fight. Blitz in Italy without a setup isn't necessarily a great fight. They still need to get a catch of some type, though. It's on FCZF since Clear Love's ultimate is down.
Ooh. FCZF throwing on face of the mountain. He thought he was going to be grabbed by Green Tea, but he's not liking to grab any of the non-priority targets right now. I think he's got it in his head that he's zeroing in on Name, trying to make sure Clear Love gets locked out and really peel for Garnet Devil here. What will they be able to do? It's looking pretty grim.
And they need ulti ready for Clear Love first. I mean, we've seen 2 being used already. Only managed to get some pink wards, couldn't actually get onto anyone else from AHQ. And because there's no cooldown reduction for Clear Love, it does take a while for him to get ulti ready. Now it's up and they're going for it.
The teleport coming in from Koro, and he gets right onto Garnet Devil. That's going to be a lockdown from you, and they just surprise AHQ by showing up behind him and starting the party.
Just a devastating fight. Home guard teleports. That's one way of getting in behind the team. They had the ward control. HQ was trying to control the Baron, and they got wrecked.
Over the wall we go. Clear Love says, hang on, I'm going to try. Make sure nobody else comes from this side. I'm looking for Westor. We're looking for Nas right now.
1v5?
It's like they get him. Westor goes in a little early.
Yeah.
Nas on the other side. Is he going to try to do much? And it looks like he's just going to hang out on the red buff for now. No vision to see.
Again, you have exhaust here. You have the lantern shield as well. You have face of the mountain. It is so hard for Westor to actually find a target.
They're all trying. Everyone on HQ is trying their own version of the 1v5 right now. They're all thinking pentakill.
It's called Gladiator.
But it doesn't quite work out that way.
Go in and see if you can come out alive.
That's
so
just
far,
desperation
not working.
speaking.
Absolutely.
Total desperation.
Trying to do what they can. The timers still relatively low, but it's really not something that's in their favor. They're still dead. It's still EDG picking things up, and they are starting to run amok on the map. Let's see this one more time. Whoop. It was that fast.
That was the forest. Anyway, here's the fight. And it's just a beautiful setup with the teleport in behind them. And as soon as you lock down just one target, the rest of EDG can follow up and get all the kills.
First pick Maokai. Definitely paying off for them right here.
It is such a good pick for EDG. They love to team fight. You get hard engaged. And Koro is playing it really well here. So I feel like, again, going into the later stages of the group stage now, I mean, you probably have to consider banning it.
And that's something that we came up with when we were watching Koro, when we did our research, is that great comms and his synergy in team fights is ridiculous. He said, guys, I'm coming in, and I'm going to be right behind them.
I love the synergy in EDG's item builds right now as well. Triple Randwin's Omen against the full physical team. Also triple Ghost Blade because they want to take down those targets.
I love you so much, Green Tea. Oh my god.
Yet another one.
I mean, that was beautiful.
It was a really nice hook, knowing where they're going to be coming for the setup.
The Boom Boom Blitzcrank getting in the good shots when they count, but man, is it too little, too late. EDG is looking to pressure this bottom turret now with Baron on hand. It's going to be pretty tough for AHQ to defend.
And this game, I mean, even though EDG has been so far ahead, they've not been able to take down the towers really because, again, they don't have a comp to siege.
Yeah.
Twitch is probably the worst AD carry, one of the worst to do it. Zed, of course, you can't really do it with him. Which means EDG has just been looking for the picks, and every time they got a pick, either they could, I mean, they've been able to take like 1 or 2 towers off it, but that's been it.
Well, they've definitely been able to take a substantial gold lead as well. And the objectives that aren't turrets. Many dragons, many barons, many blue buffs.
Pink wards.
Yeah, many pink wards. I think it's a matter of time. They have a whole bunch of armor.
For sure.
They're just building up there.
2 Frozen Hearts, doesn't hurt.
Yeah, Frozen Heart on FCCF.
Not gonna be doing too much damage to either the top lane or the support right now. And then you have everybody diving in, pretty much zeroing you out instantly. They're not even building armor past those Randuins. They don't need it. So far ahead in this game right now, 62.8 thousand to 46. This is where they need to close it out though. Teams this far ahead need to start definitively closing out games because they get caught like this. Can EDG close in though? Maelstrom keeping a lot of damage off of Coral right now. He is huge.
A very, very scary tree right now. I mean, that's what happens when a Maokai can itemize only one main resistance because he's such a tanky beast already. You give him more efficiency with those tank stats and he will become that big.
Garnet Devil only facing you on that one. Keep himself alive, has to flash out of that, so it's not going to be as safe the next time they get the engage. FCCF on the front line takes a bit more damage than he wanted to. But Koro can stand there, so he's going to be the front line for the team, taking the culling as well. That'll be regened nicely by Baron.
Remember, there's no ult for you here, so if AHQ wants to fight, this is the time. Just try and go for it. Hope the Zed can do anything in the fight. In the end, though, EDG managed to disengage, the ulti is ready fairly soon, and then it's up to them to go for the kills.
Green Tea does have his flash up. I'm ready for the hook. Just waiting for it to come in.
I mean, what are you going to hook him into? Your inhibitor? The inhibitor's not going to help. Prize gets caught.
Gotta try something. The next to the Nexus turrets now. He does get Koro though. Not the one he wanted. And it looks like they're going to be able to get through inhibitor. That is you all the way to the back line on the Garnet Devil. And he does get the E hit as well to add the extra damage. Cancels him out. And it looks like it's going to be the Nexus for EDG.
When it's all told, even though they weren't able to siege that well, it's still just 36 minutes. They definitely got a whole bunch of kills. And they close out AHQ.
28-10, 36 minutes into the game. A beautiful game for Clear Love on Rengar. And it's going to be EDG taking down AHQ.
And in this game, we actually have to look at the early game and say there was a lot of misplays, of course, from AHQ. The double flash down the bottom lane, we set up the gank from Clear Love. And then once we had all these aggressive plays in like the first 5 minutes, it seemed like AHQ suddenly realized, oh, we are playing too aggressive, let's just be more, like play more safe. So when they actually had chances to do something, they didn't go for it.
And AHQ had the game under control until that bottom lane misplay, right? They were not able to close the kill. Clearlove capitalized, and once Clearlove got going, he's such a good team fight initiator and pick catcher once he gets a little bit of farm that he was able to end the game on that way.
Right, and again, I'm thinking back to Green Tea when he's chasing you and Zed, he has the chance to actually flash, knock him up, kill him, get a dragon for his team, and almost even out the gold. That's where you have to pull the trigger if you want to come back in a game like this, and that's where a team like AHQ, a team like Dark Passage, they don't have the quick decision making yet, or they don't know exactly, okay, now is the time we have to strike if you want to come back. Otherwise, we saw what happened. EDG just kept getting more and more gold, getting more and more picks, and
we also realized EDG is damn good at dodging skill shots all day. This could have been a completely different game if 50% of those hooks hit for Green Tea, because they were on point when he was in position. It would have been Twitch a few times, and then even when Koro was weak enough, he would have gone down.
Think back to the very beginning of that game, the level 4 Nidalee coming into the level 5 Maokai. The last little sidestep on that hook. If that hook lands, Nidalee completely takes control of that lane. It sucks Clearlove up away from the bottom lane. It allows Garnet Devil to get going. Maybe it unlocks Westor a little bit in teamfights. Skill shot dodging, pretty big.
Definitely a winning factor in that game for EDG to come out. When we saw their play style of slowness, again, the way they do it, different from Chinese teams, but not afraid to execute when they need to, as we saw Clearlove do in the bot lane.
And the thing is now also, if you are in Group B and you're like TSM, your Royal Club, and you're looking at EDG and Samsung White here, and you see how dominant they are against these teams, it is going to be pretty scary going into the quarterfinal, because obviously number 1 from Group B is going to face number 2 from Group A here. And as it looks right now, EDG is going to be number 2 unless they can beat Samsung White next week.
Yeah, we're at that halfway point right now. So I think specifically Group B has a really interesting road ahead. Starhorn Royal Club, even though they are 3-0, they had 2 rather close games, right? They probably should have lost against TPA, and they were the closest to losing against SK of a lot of the teams, so it's not like it's set in stone up there. And even though EDG was very good in their showing against AHQ here, I don't think they were nearly the same level that we saw Samsung White. So I think that Group B definitely has so much importance on the number 1 seed as we move towards the next 2 days to close out the groups.
I'm 100% agree, of course, because facing Samsung White, the team everyone was talking about and hyping up and saying this is probably the best team in the world. As long as they dodge Samsung Blue, they can take the whole tournament. So getting the number 1, it simply means Group B is going to be so exciting tomorrow. And now for EDG and Samsung White, it's just all about finishing up the last few games against Dark Passage and AHQ, and then it's all about the big final, which is going to be in 2 days, I believe. I said tomorrow, that's wrong. In 2 days, and then with the big final.
Well, EDG came in saying that that wasn't their focus for Samsung White, and they've started to, get the wins they need in other spots in the group. So that's somewhat working out for them.
EDG has been able to secure themselves a pretty good position. No, they were not able to beat White, but they had very convincing victories against the other 2 in the group. That's all they really came in here looking to do, is make it into the quarterfinals.
The problem is, however, if Royal Club secures number 1 in Group B, and we have EDG against Royal Club, it's actually not a matchup which is too much in favor of EDG, because Royal Club is so damn good at getting this early lead and snowballing it, which is where EDG sometimes tend to be weak in the early game, and it could be a very risky matchup.
Well, what else can we expect from EDG now? We see you coming out with Zed for the first time ever and playing it very well. So what else do they have?
It seems like they're really versatile. Definitely the most versatile team in China. I mean, that's the reason they were able to win both the spring and the summer splits. They play controlled, and they adapt to the situation more so than anything else.
And Name, a 3-title LPL winner, he knows what it's all about to be on the stage. So these guys really got it going. For an insider's view on that match, let's send it over to Shox, who is on the stage with a member of the victorious Edward Gaming.
Thank you very much, guys. And I am indeed standing by with the AD carry, Name. First off, you guys built up a strong advantage here very early. How come it took kind of long for you guys to close this game out?
好，那美想请问你一下，其实你们队伍在前期就已经有蛮大的领先，那为什么这个比赛打了这么久才结束？
因为有一波在上路由于交流失误吧，然后导致我们死掉了3个到4个人头，然后就是让他们打回了一些局势吧。然后所以后面由于机器人的原因，我们也不太敢就是过于冲塔那种，因为会有机器人这种英雄，如果你追得很深，会导致很危险这种。
Okay, so basically we have one team fight that we lost on the top lane, and we died around 3 to 4 players, and I'm not so sure. But for that fight, we actually get them that AHQ got some advantage back. So we weren't so sure about our economy lead, so we weren't able to do some risky moves like diving, so it kind of make it long.
I see. Well, you had a great game. How have you managed the high expectations that were surrounding your play here from both the Chinese scene and the foreign scene?
大家都知道，其实 EDG 是中国一线战队。那中国的不管是观众或是队伍，都对你们很大的支持。那你想必也会有很大的期待。那怎么样面对中国跟来自海外粉丝观众的期待呢？
尽我们最大努力走到最后吧，希望我们能进决赛。
I'll just do my best and hope we can make it to the championship.
Well, as you guys said, it is the most important thing to get out of groups. Yet, last game on Sunday is that rematch versus Samsung White. What can you show us versus Imp this time around?
OK， 所以礼拜天最后一场比赛，你们要对上三星白。那你们会怎么对上 M 跟 Meta 呢？
我们就是尽力而为吧。
We'll just do our best.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations. Let's kick it back over to the guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Sharks. Another game, another correctly predicted one from the analyst desk. First things first, I want to talk about the mid lane matchup. Prolly, the Talon into Zed, you really didn't like that from Picks and Bans.
I was really upset about that. I mean, the sad thing is I learned how bad that matchup was in solo queue. It's not even possible in competitive when the other player is, knowledgeable about this matchup. And the biggest power spike in that matchup for Zed comes when they hit 6. Because it turns into an ult chicken, but with Zed with a huge advantage. If Zed ever ults first, he can probably still win that. If Talon ults first, he instantly dies to Zed. So there's almost... I don't see any way to win that matchup unless you get, I don't know, maybe jungle camped, some kind of big external factor to change the way that lane goes.
Well, talking about jungle camping, we've seen another Chinese Rengar.
Yep.
I'm going to choose my words here. Despite Insec being Korean, he's playing on the Chinese server, Chinese teams. The only other person that has pulled out Rengar was Wins to a very lackluster performance. No other team's doing it yet. But again, another very powerful, strong Rengar play. I mean, Freak, what do you think of that?
Yeah, this is interesting to see the regional differences, basically. In North America, it was copying the, I'm blanking the name, the Dandy build, right, which is Madrids into Cutlass into CDR into Tank. And I don't know if I love the high damage Reckless Rengar builds, which is Finisher, Feral Flare, grab a Cutlass, grab a Brutalizer, build Squishy until 35 minutes in, where maybe you grab a Randuin's. I feel like that's too risky. But I guess we'll have to see. They're making it work, but it's an easy group is the problem.
Yeah, I'm skeptical that the insect build that we saw that was like Flare into Yomu's Ghostblade is actually going to work out in terms of higher level play if they were against a more challenging opponent that you weren't so convinced that you were just going to assassinate immediately.
I just wonder if you're going to see more Rengar once Lee Sin and Kha'Zix are going to be entered into the bans, because usually both make it through. One team pick up one, the other team will pick up the other, but this time Lee Sin was banned, Kha'Zix is early picked, and then what's left as an answer really? Yeah, there's Rengar and then maybe Elise, but Elise doesn't really spike at 6 anymore, and these like most junglers have been relatively passive, so once they hit level 6, you're just so far behind as is an Elise, so I don't even know what other junglers are going to be picked.
Well, the thing is, I actually feel like we're seeing less engaged junglers than we're sort of supposed to strategically. Like, I do understand why Kha'Zix is good, I understand why Rengar is good and all this, but like, I feel like we're missing all the Vys and the Jarvans that are still incredibly good, still good damage, decent duelist, but actually good at ganking junglers. And especially when we see so many mid lane focused matchups, you grab a champion like Kha'Zix, who doesn't have the best ganks, whereas when we saw like Gilius's Jarvan, he actually had some good things going for him, and I'm just sort of surprised to see less gank-focused junglers, basically.
Yeah, and in terms of rounding out the pack too, we've seen a little Nunu, but no Nocturne yet. And a lot of the Korean teams do, in fact, like to play Nocturne.
Group C or D might have...
Watch has been playing it in Najin White Shield, so this is another pick that we may see come up.
And it could also be something as saving their picks, maybe. Playing the standard ones in the group stages if you don't need to pull those out, but we'll see how that goes. Let's talk a little bit about the standings, because another day of matches have been consigned to the history books. Let's pull up that graphic and see where the teams are placed. We are exactly halfway through both Group A and Group B. We're going to keep this graphic up for a little while as we look at Samsung White 3-0, Edward Gaming 2-1. In the Davids and Goliaths group, we really feel there's not much chance of AHQ or Dark Passage really taking games off these top teams.
There is really no surprise here. Exactly what people thought would happen ended up happening.
And I actually want to bounce off what you said a second ago, quick shot about these teams hiding their picks, because actually back at All-Star 2013, Rapid Star, I believe, was the All-Star mid laner for Korea, and he played mid lane Kennen every single game just to make teams think he cared about Kennen, so he could bring out his real champions when they played the Chinese All-Star team in the finals.
It was Ambition, but yeah.
Ambition, sorry, thank you, the other.
Now, let's talk Group B, because this is the interesting one for me. Starhorn Royal Club 3-0, Team Solomid 2-1, TPA 1-2, SK Gaming 0-3. SK gets Sven Skeren back tomorrow. TPA and TSM going to be looking at who's going to get that next matchup between them. And there's a possibility that second place could be up for grabs.
Yeah, there is an outside shot that we have a three-way tie for second place if SK Gaming can win all three of their games, and we can see TPA kind of take out TSM. Now, realistically, I think SK Gaming is probably going to lose to Royal Club, but they can still play the spoiler here, and that's what's so interesting, is that this now full-power SK Gaming could, in fact, knock somebody out of that second seed.
Well, there's actually two ways it can go. They can still lose to Royal Club. They just need TPA to beat TSM. Just kind of flip the group around, you've got a three-way tie. Or, yes, they beat Royal Club. Then they're actually in control of their own destiny. They can go 3-3 and just be a likely second-place auto berth.
It's going to be an interesting one to talk about. Prolly, what's your take after seeing TPA, TSM, SK? Is there room for these upsets? I mean, we still feel Royal Club are the favorites, but they were pushed super hard today by an SK squad with a sub.
It has been touched on a lot these last couple of days, but I think Svitzeren coming back into the team is going to kind of light a fire. They're going to look at their losses and go, we could have won that game. And I think when he comes back in, they are going to kind of bring it back in the group stage. TPA, on the other hand, I don't see them really clawing back in this stage. And TSM, I think, is just going to keep getting stronger.
I want to ask Crepo, after seeing TPA and some of the mistakes and problems they've had, full strength SK with Sven, who scrimmed with them in Korea, will they be able to punish TPA's mistakes?
I think definitely SK will rise above TPA. I think once they got Lee Sin away from wins, it just all started like crumbling down. TPA just, yeah, they have some good elements in there, but we saw, their bot lane just didn't punish or didn't use the windows of opportunity they had. Their mid game calling wasn't good. Their some rotations were good, but then something was lacking every time, and I think SK will come back with a new passion. They want to perform, they want to show the world, hey, we made it to Worlds for a reason. If you go back to European playoffs, they actually were a good team strategically. They have this very unique style that Monty highlighted as well, and I think Svenskeren is definitely gonna come to play if his mental capacity is stable, because a lot of things happen. If he's coming in calm and the crowd is not going to be against him too much, then maybe, but it'll be a factor.
I like the fact you do highlight Monty talking about SK, because before the suspension, you actually had SK to make it out the groups. After seeing the teams, having some insight and knowing some of the mathematical possibilities, if you were given the chance to change your prediction of the top two in this group, do you think SK would feature?
I mean, no, not now. They've lost too many games. I mean, if I were to say they were going to get second place in the group, I wouldn't have thought they would have beaten Starhorn Royal Club at all. So, assuming that they're going to lose again, the best they can do is 2-4.
Yeah, and then they rely on TPA to beat TSM, which again seems like is not going to happen. You guys all predicted TSM to win the matchup the first time. Looks like it's not going to change again. So yeah, mathematically, and again assuming TSM beats TPA, then there's no chance for SK.
Well, we'll see how that works out. And it's I don't actually know when their game is. It's coming up fairly soon. Regardless, we'll get to that a little bit later. It is now time for a lesson in the League of Legends etiquette, the jungler style, in a segment that we introduced yesterday. And it has got a lovely title of Thank You Very Much. First one is going to be SK versus TPA. This was a tower dive. Freak, do you want to talk me through this one? It was pretty heavy.
Yeah, so they try really hard. It's the Flash EQ ulti. Right here, we don't need the Flash Crescendo from Sona, but this is actually why I like champions like Jarvan, is you can just force kills.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Sometimes you snowball an Ahri because of it.
Worked out very well. We got another one. This is going to be a very aggressive Rengar dive from Edward Gaming. Clearlab, he's going all in.
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing they can do. They cancel Absolute Zero there with Janna. Kog'Maw's not being touched. I mean, at this point, the game was very far ahead. You saw Orianna cutting down immediately as well. It is basically cleanup. They were even contemplating on teleporting. It was like, yeah, let's just have 3 people die instead of 4. So at this point, the game's over. But I do like the Rengar ganks, just well executed.
Really, really strong Rengar play from Clearlab. This is a nice one from Amazing. because he's going to set himself up to counter gank wins and what ends up being a no gank you in return. Monty?
Yeah, and the no gank you here is really a mistake from TPA. Actually, they had just seen Amazing clearing out the pink ward behind the red buff, and so they should have known he was topside.
Yeah, somebody needs to give Clear Love another high five, because just more kills being racked up for this Rengar play.
This is kind of what happens when you've got an over-aggressive team. AHQ, I still don't love the Blitzcrank pick for them, and I think they tried a little bit too hard to make plays when I think they could have relied a little bit on individual skill and less on cheeky, really risky picks.
It was good spacing from Name on Twitch, though. He definitely dodged that hook. If he got caught there, it could have been like a 1-for-2, but he knew he was safe. You know, he knew his team could clean up, and just a well set up gank. Rengar and Thresh is so annoying to play against, especially when you play something like Blitzcrank, where you feel forced to make the move, so you'll constantly be walking forward, and then you realize, oh, they have an invisible jungler. Maybe I made a small mistake.
Yeah. I think the Blitz pick goes back to they're not confident as a team versus the others. They kind of think they have a disadvantage skill-wise, so they're going for this Blitz pick that not many people practice against.
Well, we'll see. It didn't work out today, unfortunately. Yeah. Guys, tomorrow we will be bringing you another full day of matches, and here's who's going to be going head-to-head. Up first, it will be David and Goliath, the Samsung White versus Dark Passage, followed by SK Gaming at full strength, taking on the Starhorn Royal Club. Then AHQ Esports Club will battle it out with Samsung White, and will round out the 6-game day with SK Gaming versus the Taipei Assassins. Those matches will begin on Saturday at 2 a.m. Pacific, which is 11 a.m. Central European Summer Time. I'd like to thank our special guest analysts for sharing their expertise with us today, and for myself, the casters, the entire world's broadcast team, thank you so much for watching. We will see you back here tomorrow.
Yesterday was epic, but I think today is going to be just amazing.
That's going to be Gilius that picks it up, but SK take a very low in the pin here. Candy Panda jumps back in, but it's TPA coming out on top. Have they got the damage? They damn well have.
And now they might go down as well. Solo move from the red. Comes down with the TP.
By the way, this guy's insect, so flash before he can insect you.
Jez has locked up the ultimate coming out of Candy Panda, but he's just forced back onto the mountain and taken down by Uzi. He is just that strong.
This is going to be some amazing matches, and it's already started the day off crazy. A little bit of brush control is going to be good for this one. Double kill coming in for Imp. He keeps the shot coming. The triple kill for Imp. Looking for the quad.
They want to give him the
and they are going to get it. Yeah. The pentakill to come in for Imp. Pentakill!
World Championship 2014, my bro.
Jay gonna be looking for a solar flare. It locks down Dyrus, but he's already got the equalizer damage out. Zanya's across the board. You're looking good, gentlemen. That's gonna be a lockdown from you, and they just surprised AHQ, and it looks like it's gonna be the Nexus for EDG.